The White House is standing by its decision to include a citizenship question on the 2020 census form. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders defended the move at Tuesday's White House press briefing.
This is a question that's been included in every census since 1965, with the exception of 2010, when it was removed. We've contained this question that's provided data that's necessary for the Department of Justice to protect voters, and specifically to help us better comply with the Voting Rights Act, which is something that is important and a part of this process. And again, this is something that has been part of the census for decades, and something that the Department of Commerce felt strongly needed to be included again.
Bloomberg's chief White House correspondent Kevin Cirilli is in Washington. All right, Kevin, why are we seeing so much backlash over this census citizenship question?
Well, look, for progressives as well as Democrats coming out in full force earlier today, Elaine, to criticize this decision. This is something they feel that is not right. And this, of course, reignites a culture war that we've seen. And it illustrates, I think, the tension between Democrats right now, as well as this administration, with regards to immigration policy. The fact of the matter is whether or not including this question is going to work. And there's debate about whether or not this will work because, you know, what is the point in really being able to collect this data if the data itself is questionable. But it has reignited a culture war, and one that this White House seemingly is welcoming. They feel that this is the type of debate that will help them amongst their supporters.
Well, the White House says this question is to help enforce voting laws. Can you explain the logic there?
Well, I can try. So
that's why we have you on, Kevin.
It's been a long day, Elaine.
I know. We're only getting started. So much to ask you about.
Yeah. So from the administration's perspective, they believe that this is the type of data where if you filed, if you submit the data in a state in particular for registered voters and you have that particular number, that you would be able to somehow calculate whether the actual folks who show up at the polls are folks who had registered. So, look, I mean, it's a mathematical argument. I'll leave it up to the viewer to decide if it's a sound one.
Well, White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders was also asked on a different topic here why the president has not tweeted about Stormy Daniels. Tell us what she had to say about that.
Well, White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders saying that the president is focused on other issues, that this is not something that they believe is on the minds of most Americans. They feel that this is that the president and the nation wants him to not discuss these types of arguments. We should note that First Lady Melania Trump's spokeswoman, Stephanie Grisham, tweeting out following that interview that they are asking for folks not to, or to keep the president's child out of it. And so, look, this is, I'll be honest here, no one that I talk with inside of the White House or folks that work with this White House, this is not really on their minds. But you talk to legal experts, you talk to folks who are working on this investigation, and they make the point, Elaine, that this could open a legal fishing expedition in the sense that should Michael Cohen have to be deposed, or should other financial dealings that he's had with regard to that particular payment a couple of weeks before Election Day, should that start to get interesting, then more documents might be subpoenaed, and that's where you open up a can of worms for things that might not even have to do with this particular issue.
Right. Meanwhile, on Tuesday, NATO said it will expel 7 Russian diplomats in response to a nerve agent attack in the UK. More than 20 countries, including the U.S., have expelled Russian envoys in recent days. Russia now says plans to retaliate. What's the potential impact here on U.S.-Russia relations and on President Trump's relationship as he's tried to cultivate one with Vladimir Putin?
Well, Elaine, President Trump earning bipartisan praise for his most aggressive steps taken with regards to Russia, expelling more than 60 Russia U.S.-based diplomats, and dozens of them believed to be Russian spies, as well as closing a Russia consulate out in Seattle because of its proximity to a U.S. naval base, as well as to a Boeing plant. This, of course, as you mentioned, it comes on the heels as other countries in the EU and NATO allies have joined forces forces with regards to this, trying to send a signal to Vladimir Putin that this is unacceptable. The president did not discuss this in his phone conversation last week with Vladimir Putin, but he did, according to senior White House officials, consult with NATO allies ahead of making this decision. Now, Russia's response to this, they've talked a big game, but the president earning praise. A lot of folks wanted to see him do this, not just internationally, but folks within his own party. And that's where this gets interesting, because there has been a wide, universal response that Russia's actions are quite simply unacceptable.
All right, Kevin Cirilli in Washington. Kevin, we're almost to hump day, so there you go.
Yes, we're almost there. Thank you, Elaine.
Thanks.